Hi everybody. So on today's webinar, we welcome the Science and Technology Facilities Council, or STFC for short. We are joined by Marta, Early Careers Resourcing Partner, graduate Narsik, and interns Yash and Matthew. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Today we're going to be hearing from the panel about the recruitment process, the different projects they have worked on, and much, much more. I'm going to start with you first, Marta. So if you could introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit more about your role at STFC and your involvement with early careers.
Thank you for having us here today, Jess and Carla. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marta Hone, and I'm a Senior Resourcing Partner working in the Early Careers Recruitment team. As part of wide HR and talent teams, we manage large volumes early careers campaigns for STFC and the whole of UKRI, recruiting graduates, industrial placements and summer placement students, as well as apprentices into the organisation. Just a little bit about us and UK Research and Innovation. We launched in 2018. We are a non-departmental public body sponsored by the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. UKRI brings together 9 research councils, including STFC, Medical Research Council, Research England and Innovate UK, to name a few. Through research grants, we work with stakeholders to understand the opportunities and requirements of all areas of research and innovation. STFC, the Science and Technology Facilities Council, as part of UKRI, is a world leader in research, innovation and skills. The work our scientists, technologists, engineers and business support teams undertake is focused on inspiring impact to make a real-world difference to people's lives and the environment around us, whether it's sending probes into space or perhaps finding new ways to treat cancer. We support university-based research, innovation and skills development in astronomy, particle physics, and many, many more. We provide access to world-leading large-scale facilities across a range of physical and life sciences, enabling research, innovation, and skills training. We help ensure a future pipeline of skills and enthusiastic young people by using the excitement of our sciences to encourage wider take-up of STEM subjects in schools and among students. If it comes to our values, as an organisation, we promote and believe in collaboration, especially through work in partnership with the UK's diverse community. We believe in excellence to ensure quality, value for money and sustainability are embedded in everything we do. We believe in innovation and we promote international best practice. We innovate and we take risks. And as a non-profit organisation, we aim to always remain independent and objective, supporting our work with rigorous analysis as well as fair and consistent processes. Our culture is based on our people and their well-being. We also invest in learning and development of our employees. And finally, we recognise the importance of creating networks and connections, enabling an inclusive culture, environment and experience for everyone. We operate across some really exciting locations. And to name a few would be definitely UK Astronomy Technology Centre in Edinburgh. We've got our corporate hub, Polaris House in Swindon, Wiltshire. We've got Chilberton Observatory in Hampshire. Also very, very interesting place, that's Bobby Underground Lab in North Yorkshire. We've got Daresbury Lab based in SciTech Daresbury campus outside Liverpool, as well as Rutherford Appleton Lab in Howell campus in Didcot, Oxfordshire. Obviously, there are projects that I wanted to sort of mention today, but obviously we haven't got enough time to talk about all of the exciting projects our organisation has been involved in. But I thought I'll mention a few just to sort of give you a whistle-stop tour. So, you know, we've been involved in testing and creation of the mid-infrared instrument, one of 4 scientific instruments on board the James Webb Space Telescope. We founded the UK team that was part of the LUX-Zeppelin dark matter experiment, which is world's largest and most sensitive dark matter experiment. We're also involved in the world's most powerful laser, Vulcan 2020, and that will be built at STFC's Central Laser Facility at RAL in Didcot. We also contributed to the upgrade of particle accelerator at CERN. If it comes to opportunities that we've got to offer in the early careers sector, we are recruiting across a wide range of disciplines. We're talking physics, chemistry, mechanical engineering, electronics, life sciences, microelectronics, finance, accounting, public engagement, project management, estates, and many, many more. Some of our recruiting departments that worth mentioning, definitely ASTEC, which is Accelerated Science and Technology Centre, our famous central laser facility, Scientific Computing Department, Digital Infrastructure, ICIS Neutron and Muon Source, Scientific Technology, including Microelectronics, to name a few. Our early careers opportunities for 2024 intake are still live until 12th of November, but we will be going live again at the end of Jan, beginning of Feb, with some more very, very exciting roles. So should you miss this deadline for any reason, please don't worry. You can always apply at a later date in the second part of our recruitment campaign. We offer a wide range of vacancies, such as graduate roles, but also industrial placement, summer placement and apprenticeship. For more details about our graduate program and industrial placement, summer placements, apprentices, please do visit our hub on Gradcracker or specific vacancies should you be interested in any of those. Our early career opportunities offer you a chance to get involved with public engagement activities, network with other graduates and placement students. You'll be exposed to exciting projects and challenges from the start. We call it a real job from day one. You'll collaborate with world-leading engineers, technicians, and scientists. You will develop working relationships that continue well after your placement has finished. You'll be supported throughout by us and our early careers coordinators colleagues, offering help, advice, mentoring, and the expertise you will need to ensure you benefit from a range of personal and professional development opportunities. And last but not least, you will certainly benefit from a wide range of employee benefits we've got to offer as a public sector organisation. That's it, really.
That's it. Well done, Marta. You covered a lot of points there. So just to mention and pick up on a few little bits and pieces that Marta mentioned there. So the opportunities are currently live on the STFC hub on Gradcracker. So there's actually 54 opportunities in total, covering lots of different disciplines like Marta just mentioned. So those are internships and your graduate opportunities, all open to multiple candidates across all STEM disciplines. So like Maz mentioned, covering different types of areas as well, so research and development, sciences, engineering, physics, diagnostics. There's definitely something for all of our STEM students who come onto Gradcracker. So just to kind of recap, the placements are all year-long placements at the moment, and they are all starting in June 2024. And like Marta says, they all close on the 12th of November at the moment. So make sure after this webinar, you go do your research and get your applications in. The roles on Gradcracker at the moment are based in either Cheshire or Oxfordshire, but all of the details are on the job descriptions on the company hub. If you cannot, for whatever reason, apply by the 12th of November, don't forget to go and give STFC a quick follow. And then when they do reopen their opportunities, you will get an email and push notification. So thank you, Marta. That was a good tag team. What we're going to do now is meet the panel. Really excited about meeting the panel today, who all found their jobs on Gradcracker, all researched the employers on Gradcracker before they put their applications in. So Nasik, I'm going to start with you, my love. So where did you go to university and what did you study?
So hello everyone, I'm Nasik and I studied physics at the University of Manchester, and I joined the company back in May of this year, which is exactly 6 months ago.
Yes, so congratulations, it's Nasik's anniversary today.
Thank you very much.
Matthew, on to you. So you've been there since August time-ish. So which university are you going to go back to and what are you studying?
Hi, I'm Matthew. So I'm from University of York, and the course I'm on is Natural Sciences, specialising in physics. So I've completed 3 years there, and then I'm doing this year, and then once this placement year's done, I go back for a 4th year. And so I started my placement quite early. I know most people are sort of August. I started in the beginning of July.
Yeah, okay.
So if I could just add, we're very flexible if it comes to start dates. So we offer start dates for our graduates, for example, they can start any time between June and September, with some colleagues actually start in October or late October, depending on when they actually graduate. So for example, master students do tend to graduate a bit later, therefore we are more than happy to accommodate later start dates. And the same with industrial placement students. So we're more than happy to accommodate earlier start dates should anyone be interested.
Super. And how do they get that message across to you, Martha? Then do they mention that on the application form?
So we discussed that at the offer stage. So we asked this question, and the start date is to be agreed always between the applicant and the hiring team, and we're always very, very flexible, and we are happy to accommodate whatever is sort of required.
Martin, another question. Could they extend it at the other end as well? So say, for example, if a student said they could start in June, July, and wasn't going back, obviously, till the September of the year after, so not, could they almost have, say, longer than 12 months with you if they wanted?
So it really depends. I mean, they could potentially utilise a summer placement after, or perhaps, probably worth mentioning, we've got a conversion scheme. Therefore, anyone who is here with us for a year is more than welcome to then come back as a graduate once they actually finish university. But certainly, it's a one-year contract for IPs, permanent contract from day one for graduates, but we're always more than happy to discuss individual cases and accommodate their needs.
So flexibility is the key, but it's down to the students who are applying to tell Martha about what you want and your wishes and things like that. Perfect. Thank you very much, Martha. Yash, lovely story from you. So Yash and Jess have actually met before, because Yash was at one of Jessica's university presentations at Swansea. So family friends. So Yash, I just mentioned that you go to Swansea University, but what are you currently studying?
So I've just finished second year of physics, and I'll be going back for my third year after I complete my placement at STFC. Perfect,
lovely. And enjoying your time so far at STFC?
Yeah, it's great. I've been working with the Vulcan laser system for a while, and for the past 2 months, and I've recently started working with the EPAC team on the new laser.
Fantastic. Don't tell us too much. No. I'm asking you Jessica's question. She's giving me the glare. So what we're going to do now, not like we have to, but break the ice a little bit more and find out your top facts about STFC. So Narsik, I'm going to come and start with you.
Yep. So one interesting thing about the STFC is its collaboration with world-leading facilities across the globe, such as the Large Hadron Collider at CERN in Switzerland. And this is really good for graduates like me who may have the opportunity to complete a few month-long placement at one of these facilities during my grad scheme.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hearing a lot of familiar names as well. So, when you mentioned Innovate, Medical Research Council, and obviously CERN, all advertisers on Gradcracker as well. So it's good that we keep hearing these familiar names. Matthew, on to you. Tell me about your key fact.
So my fun fact is about STFC's site in Oxfordshire on the Harwell campus. So the Harwell campus, it actually used to be an airfield, I think in World War II. So it was an RAF airfield. And then it also had the first nuclear reactor facility in the UK, something like that. And the building's still there, and they still do stuff with it. Or there's still people working there to, I think, decommission it. So there's been science industry on Harwell for, 60, 70, 80 years.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's an amazing site. Me and Jess have been there twice before, and it's mind-blowing how big it is as well.
It's like a campus, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
They are thinking it is like a campus setup. It's massive. Canteen is fantastic.
It is fantastic. We always talk about food. It is fantastic. Right, Yash, to end with you, tell me about your key facts.
So I think the biggest pro of working at STFC is the community you have of students every year. So this year, when coming to placement, I was expecting a bit of isolation. As you know, students will feel among professionals who have already worked in the field for a long time. However, I was surprised to know how many placement students you find in STFC, and how many social events and how many opportunities you have to interact with these people. And basically have a sort of community while you're on this placement. It really helps grow. It helps you understand, how different sectors of this facility works. So yeah, I believe that is a very big addition to the experience that you have at STFC.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about the culture, isn't it? And just to go back to the campus feel, like Jess has said, it is a very, young vibe going on as well, isn't it? But thank you very much for the introduction. It's been perfect. Jess, I'm going to hand over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm excited. So Yash, I'm going to start with you just because you're at the top of my list, not because you're my favourite, I promise. Could you tell us a bit more about your role? So you started already kind of introducing what you've been up to over the last 3 months, but yeah, go for it. Tell us everything. What have you been doing over the last few months? What have you been up to?
So as we have already discussed, Vulcan is currently under an upgrade. So it's converting from Vulcan system to the Vulcan 2020. So during this phase, there has been a lot of involvement in the dismantling of it so that there can be room for the new system. So a bunch of placement students at Vulcan have been dedicated to the dismantling and cataloging of optics, mechanics that were used in the previous system, and essentially improve on it as we're making room for the new laser. Yeah, so that has been something that has been going on at Vulcan. On EPAC side, since it's a laser already in progress of building up, it's actually quite contrasting to Vulcan. I've been setting up optomechanics. I have been doing a lot of research on gratings, particularly, and how you can clean them inside a vacuum. So that has been my focus of research in the past month or so. And yeah, it's been an amazing experience and definitely a very new challenge.
I can imagine. And what's it like to get this kind of hands-on experience working on these kind of projects, like you say, working on these lasers, working on these vacuums? I'm assuming, sorry Swansea if I'm wrong, but you don't have anything like that on campus at your university. So to have that experience and to be working on these kind of machines and working in this kind of environment must be absolutely so exciting.
Oh, definitely. So one of the big advantages of being on placement is that you have a lot more hands-on experience than that you have during university. Universities do have laboratory settings where you can essentially have a hand at, handling oscilloscopes or working with lasers in some setting or the other. Even Swansea has a course where you're working with laser systems and essentially understanding how modern lasers work. However, it is quite contrasting to see it working in a facility this big, because obviously there are problems, there are limitations. They're quite different from what we might experience in a very controlled lab setting. With EPAC especially, my research project is completely based on the fact that EPAC is a very high-powered system. In a university setting, this might not be a bottleneck for certain students or certain experiments, which might not lead us to investigate this problem in the first place. So I believe that working in STFC in this placement has definitely given me a more in-depth perspective on how, on the job research looks like.
Already just in those 3 months then, Yash, by the sounds of it, you've learned a lot, whether it be you kind of those soft skills, working as part of a team, or that technical knowledge already. Would you find that in terms of going back to university, how you can see yourself applying those skills and applying that knowledge? And, are you thinking about the future just yet?
So yes, my plan for the future is definitely getting a doctorate in the next few years and being a full-time researcher. And as I see it, the placement has actually improved my chances of performing better at university, because once you see these things in more practical sense, it's easier to understand the theory and the mathematics that goes on. And I believe that in a university setting, it really helps when you can visualize a system and essentially see what the end result would look like. And I believe that it's going to really enhance my experience in that perspective. in addition to that, I would also say that it has helped me decide what I like about the physics world and what I want to pursue further. So yeah, it's given me a perspective on my options as well.
And that's the perfect reason why to do a placement as well, you know, for you as an individual, for you to make that decision and get that experience. I think actually my interests lie here and my passions are here, which is fantastic. So when you kind of go on to apply that in the future. So perfect, Josh. Really, really exciting. Matthew, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. Similar question. What is life been like for you so far at STFC?
Yeah, no, it's been really enjoyable. Also STFC and like RAL especially, it's such a nice place to work. I know you mentioned a few minutes ago that it's on a campus, so yes, it is a job, but you are also on a campus, so it has like there are like societies, and there is also the social side, which is quite similar to what a university has. I think that for some people it is that makes easing that transition from going from university into, like, I know, the real world that everyone says. It certainly makes that transition much easier.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think sometimes that is the nervous bit, isn't it? You know, stepping out into an environment which, you know, you've never been in before. So in terms of your day job then, Matthew, what's it looking like for you? So it looks like you're obviously in the office today.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about what's a kind of day in the life of Matthew like.
So I'm also working for the central laser facility like Yash, but I'm not in the same group. So Yash is in Vulcan. I'm in a group called Kauta.
Okay.
So the main job of Kauta is kind of fundamental research into lasers to make laser systems that have a higher energy output, which means how much energy is in the laser beam, and a higher repetition rate, which means how many times can the laser beam fire a second, say. And then the point of that is that Kauta do all this research to make sure that the rest of the central laser facility is equipped with these high-tech lasers. And also, I don't know too much about it, but some of the lasers also get sent to other companies elsewhere. So the project that I'm doing is, so I have there'll be a setup in a lab of optics, like a laser going through some optics, and then the laser beam hits a mirror and then it scatters off the mirror, or it's transmitted. So my role, my job is that I'm currently writing a code so that we can then automate this whole setup. So that when I click, once I've written the code, and we've set all the apparatus up, I can click go, and then a camera's going to go round this mirror taking measurements, and that it will all be automated, as opposed to a person taking the measurement, moving the camera, taking another measurement, moving the camera, because that makes the precision much better, and it also makes it much quicker.
Yeah.
So currently,
sorry,
go on.
What is it that this sounds really stupid and everyone's going to probably laugh when I say it, but what are you lasering? Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve? What is the experiment, if I'm allowed to ask?
So this is to kind of get a profile of how much light is being scattered off this mirror and at what angles. And where this goes is that these mirrors are then going to go and be incorporated into larger laser systems, because if you've got light sort of reflecting off of a laser at unwanted angles, so not in the direction where the laser beam's going, then basically that energy is getting wasted.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So if you can get it all to like scatter in the direction you want it to, it makes the whole laser system more efficient.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. I'm there, kind of.
And then so where I am with it at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm right. The code to automate the setup is I'm using LabVIEW 4, and that's something I've never done before. So that's a new skill I've learned. And then so I'm not that far away from finishing the LabVIEW script. So most of my time has been doing that on a computer. I've been in the lab a bit, but then once the script is ready, I will then be going into the lab much more to actually use it.
Matthew, how do you find the lab? Do you enjoy working in the lab?
Yes, and it's also it's much it's a much kind of fancy, well, more high-tech physics lab than I've ever been in before.
Right.
So
okay.
you get the experience of being in a lab like that is not something I have got at uni.
Absolutely. So in kind of a typical day then, what's the kind of teams that you're working in? Do you find yourself working on this project on your own, you know, kind of manipulating the experiment in such a way and then taking back your findings and working on it again? Or is there a huge group of you? How does it work?
So you kind of get a bit of both. So the team I'm in is quite the team size is about sort of 10 to 15, probably, maybe a bit more. But then everyone's sort of doing their own thing, but then periodically has to then go and do something with another person. Yeah. But so also for people for industrial placement students, you'll have a line manager who you'll be working with very closely. So that's the kind of the main person that you'll be working with a lot of the time. Right. And then there's a kind of a good mix of sort of working on your own and then working in teams.
Yeah, that's good. That's interesting. Thanks, Matthew. Narsik, I'm going to come to you. Absolutely. Last but absolutely not least, as I was about to say. Tell us a bit about what life is like for you. So, as a graduate, knowing now that this is it for the next couple of years, how does it feel joining STFC as a graduate?
I think it's been really good. At the STFC in particular, because I know that so first of all, my role is a scientific software engineer. Okay. And I know that at many other facilities or many other software engineering roles, your job is quite uniform in the process. Every single day is almost the same. But at this facility, because we're focused on innovation so much, your week to week, your month to month, and your year to year will vary a lot. So you've always got many new challenges that constantly appear. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how things are going to evolve over the next few years.
Absolutely. So from your background then, I would say, tell me if I'm wrong, but say something like a company like STFC might not have been an obvious kind of career path for you because of the things that they're doing and everything else. So why, as a computing student, was STFC a yes for you in terms of applying to their graduate positions?
So actually, I started off as a physics graduate, and it was at the end of my master's, which involved a lot of computing and machine learning, and that was applied in a lot of innovative scientific areas. Right. And at the end of that, I realized I really enjoy the physics side of things, but I also really enjoy the software engineering side of things. So I basically mashed them two together, and quite luckily I found a job that was a scientific software engineer role. So it worked out pretty well for me, because to find a role that does exactly that at different places is quite difficult. And there aren't many places, especially that are in the UK at least.
100%. That is amazing. So in terms of, you're saying as well, where your career could potentially end up with STFC is completely open, you almost don't know where you're going to be because that thing might not even exist just yet. So in terms of the new things that are coming on, into the market at the moment, things like AI and things like that, are you seeing that being a big influence in your role at the moment?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm working on several projects, one of which will slowly converge into an AI-based project. And so that will occur over the next several months. So it's interesting to see how quickly the AI field is integrating into the software engineering or into, a practical application of AI. Yeah. And I think that's a great thing to see, because it means that you're always kept on your toes. And so as someone that really enjoys learning, I'll always have something new to find and take part in.
Absolutely. So Matthew, you said when you were doing your testing and almost getting the computer to kind of do the workings for you as well. Is that what you're using? Are you using an AI system?
No.
No. Okay.
No, mine is more kind of you write the code and then run it. I guess I'm not really an expert, but an AI would imply that I know there's some other entity that's writing it.
But
no,
you're in full control of that.
Yeah.
I see. No, that's fine. Interesting. Just wanted to see if there was a crossover there. So in terms of your kind of day-to-day projects then, Nazik, what is it looking like for you? What are you working on at the moment? And how long are you working on this project for?
So I work on about 3 main projects. So just to give a little bit of background for one of those projects, the accelerator in-house is currently undergoing an upgrade over the next several months.
Yeah.
So before the new equipment can be used, it has to undergo a process known as beam conditioning, which can be done really effectively and efficiently using software. So I'm currently developing software to do that. And like Matthew, that software is all about the automation. It's about improving the amount of reducing the amount of time it takes to do this process, because in the past it's been done manually and that process is long and arduous. So if we can automate it, then it saves everyone time and it improves the process overall. And it can also protect the different pieces of equipment from getting damaged, because there are there's a lot of details which need to be considered before you can do a process like beam conditioning safely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have another project as well, which is simulating the entire accelerator from the perspective of the user, and we call it the virtual accelerator. And once that's complete, a lot of scientists will be able to test their ideas and applications on the virtual accelerator as opposed to the real one. And that will save everyone a bunch of time, because right now a bunch of scientists will need to book time on the machine.
Yeah.
And time is just not given away freely. So if they have the virtual accelerator to work on, and if it behaves exactly the same as the real one, then they get to test their ideas out on that one before moving over to the real one. And that project will take several months, I think. I think it's also an open-ended project, so
Right.
it could just start expanding as we go. So I did mention that we have that it is converging towards an AI project. So we do have some machine learning physicists within our group, Aztec, and they'll be involved in making that happen, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask about machine learning then. So did you find then, if you got an interest in that, you could cross over into those different areas as well with the projects? You know, if you said, you started working with a certain team, thought I'm really interested in that, could you gravitate towards those particular teams and those groups and those experiences as well?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, I was already offered to work on that by my manager about a month ago. And I've said, yes, I'll be interested, but I still want to stay on the software side, because as you might know, machine learning is just a huge field.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just step into an area without knowing too much into it. So I'm just dipping my toes into it over the next several months, and I'll feel how it is. And that's the great thing about working here, that I can just find different teams and ask if I can work with them, as long as I'm not taking on too much work.
And if I could just add quickly, so part of our program, so within those 2 years, the initial 2 years of your program, you actually get a chance to complete like a placement in a team of your choice or department of your choice. And that's where our grads sort of get a chance to approach the teams, perhaps choose a field or, a team that they want to work with, which obviously then broadens your horizons, because that also means that perhaps one day in the future you might be able to join them, based on your experience from that time within those 2 years. But also, so for example, in Nasik's case, when he finishes his sort of the initial 2 years of his program, the graduate part of the job title simply disappears, and now graduates just become software engineers. So from a graduate software engineer, it just becomes a software engineer and just continues in the role, or looks for something different within the organization. And as we know, the opportunities are sort of endless, really.
Absolutely. Matt, I'm going to stick with you on a quick question, actually. So say, for example, if there is any students that are listening that are from a computing background and thinking, wow, I've never considered STFC, but I'm definitely considering it now. Would the student, or if there's any reservation from the student feeling like, oh, I don't really have a science background, and like Nasik, you've obviously had your physics experience, would that matter to you as a recruiter?
Certainly not. And, what we're looking for is obviously, we know where everyone is in their career as well. So, we're more than open to offer chances to people that perhaps want to change their career completely. So, our program is actually open from last year, which I was very proud of achieving, amongst obviously my team members. We actually managed to get to the point where the year of graduation doesn't actually count as a pre-screening question. Therefore, we are more than open to students, different ages, different backgrounds. So, the diverse group of applicants, and we've seen the increase of, students or grads, that perhaps finished, a good few years ago, but they decided to join a graduate scheme, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a good kind of overall thought as well. So it almost doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter your previous experiences, as long as there's an interest there, you can absolutely get your applications in, which is
Definitely.
good. I was going to kind of touch a bit upon next the kind of rotations and projects, and Yash and Matthew just covering kind of the placement opportunity then. I'll stick with you, Yash, then Matthew, you can add to this. In terms of what does the year placement kind of rotations look like then? How can you pick and select, again, the teams and the projects that you're going to be working on? And Yash, I'll let you answer that first.
So actually, I'm a bit unclear on what you just asked. I'm assuming you meant like the student rotations every year?
Yeah, so when you're out on your placement now, how can you pick and decide what's the next project that you want to work on?
Okay, so that depends a bit on what your line manager currently has to offer for you.
Okay.
So it is a little dependent on that. In my case, my line manager came up to me and said, Yash, we have this project. Would you be interested in joining it?
Yeah.
And obviously, I was very keen to see, where this research went. So I took it up. However, what can also happen is that someone else in your department might also have something that you might have an interest in. So it comes down to a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of approaching people. I personally believe that the more you ask people if there's, something you can contribute, and the more chances you have of, coming across an opportunity that you might just not want to miss. So I think that's kind of how the project situation works. It is also important to understand that some projects take shorter time compared to others.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that, there might be some projects that might only go on for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Like, it's a simple thing. However, there are some projects that can take up to 4 to 6 months, depending on, what kind of research you find. So yeah, I think those are a few things that the project, different projects could come up with. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Yash. Matthew, have you got anything to add to that? Have you got your journey kind of similar in terms of where you could go next and the projects you can be working on?
Yeah, because as you mentioned, kind of rotations, and kind of when I hear like rotations in like a job, I kind of think of, you have this project which you're going to do for 5 months, and then you're going to do this next one for the next 5 months. I wouldn't really use that word to describe it. It's more, so for me, for example, I've got my project with automating this setup, and then I'm going to eventually do that, is more actually going to go into the lab and use this automation. It's more kind of, so that's my project, and then we'll just kind of we'll see where that goes, and we'll see how long that takes, and if that takes the whole year, it takes the whole year, or if it only takes the first 6 months and that is kind of done, I'll move on with something else. But with projects, they're often very open-ended. I mean, because research is usually you'll start with something, and then you'll just do as much of it as you manage. You just basically, you'll see where you end up going. Something I've also done though, because the key things I've wanted to get out of my placement, I mean, this kind of it probably links more to a later question, because I wanted to get a bit better at coding. So LabVIEW is coding, but LabVIEW is graphical. I also wanted to do something like MATLAB, so I did just go around and ask some other people in the office, do you have any kind of sort of bits of jobs or like data analysis I could do for you that I could do in MATLAB so that I can learn it? And then someone said, yeah, honey, could you do this for me? And so I've also been doing a bit of that on the side. So it's really open-ended. And if there's specific things you want to learn, like specific skills, you can go and ask people, and is there anything I can do for you that I can learn, so that I can learn this with? And definitely you can do things like that.
So that interest to code then, Matthew, is that started from being at STFC, or did you just say, like you said, you wanted to get that experience out of doing the placement as well?
I've always I mean, coding's a really useful, if you want to be a scientist, which I do, and in any kind of industry like STFC especially, coding's such a useful skill. It's not something I'd ever actually done at uni.
Okay.
And but now after being here for 3 months, I now feel very confident with it. And I feel like I've got to this kind of, I wouldn't say really advanced level, but I've got to this kind of foundation level from which I feel like I can go on and learn. I don't worry that I can't code, because now I can, whereas before coming here, I actually did.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
From an employability point of view, it was something I actually thought, I can't do that. But now that's completely gone.
Interesting though. Sorry, Matt, just to throw it back to you for a second. When you're looking at these applications, then again, if there's someone sat here watching this, thinking a bit how Matthew was feeling before he applied, it's okay not to have those experiences, not to necessarily know MATLAB, not necessarily to know much about coding different languages at all.
And that's what we're here for, you know, as a non-profit public sector organization, and that's the feel you get, and we get, and I hope you do as well, that we all work towards a bigger sort of goals, you know, and that's why, you know, there is no sort of a target date on Matthew set by his line manager, because they know that one project will lead to another and so on. You know, they cooperate with so many universities, you know, different international bodies, that, you know, that skill will always, you know, be useful, and I'm sure, you know, Matthew will be able to utilize what he's learned in the future. And I always believe having STFC or UKRI, you know, any of our councils in your CV is such a massive thing, you know, and I do understand that many of our industrial placement students, and as much as we would love them to come back as grads, sometimes they choose a slightly different path, and that's okay. Sometimes the international students are simply stay in their home country, for example, but they're in touch and they let us know how useful and how much the STFC experience helped them in the future. So certainly I've seen some amazing achievements, you know, from our industrial placement students, and yeah, you know, it's just amazing. It's just amazing to be part of it, really. And you know, for us HR team, you know, we might not necessarily understand everything that, you know, our students, our applicants tell us about in the interviews, but just listening to those fantastic achievements and such a you know, such an early stage in their career is just so encouraging. And that it probably would be one of my hints and tips that I prepared for you guys today. Don't be afraid to share them, because we've heard some fantastic stories about people building telescopes from I don't know, cardboard, just to witness that one particular you know, on particular night sort of event in the astronomy. You know, it's just amazing. And I think from our perspective, I love these HR interviews, because I love to sort of be a part of it and listen to you know, to what they've got to tell us about, really.
Absolutely. And Matthew, just going back to you for a second then. So it sounds as though you've learned a lot in the last 3 months. You say, you know, I know you're saying you're at foundation level, but to say where you were, say, this time last year, your skill set has completely, you know, changed, and you've adapted massively. So in terms of kind of going back to your projects, I was gonna say rotations, but I'm not gonna say going back to your projects. Do you find then now, because you're gaining that confidence, you're gaining that momentum, are you going to lead more towards, in terms of doing those projects that do have some kind of computer science, kind of software coding influence in them?
I suppose I might do. And I always used to kind of shy away from those words. Like, yeah, but I think I do very much want to be an experimental scientist. But actually, yeah, but I would say that having just been here, it has given me a lot more confidence to go into things, to incorporate the more coding and kind of software side of things. Yeah, I got loads more confidence with that.
Absolutely. It's incredible. And you know, again, naively, I didn't think, it's obvious when you say it, really, how important software is going to be in all of your roles. It's stupid and very naive for me to think that it wasn't going to be, really. I thought, again, you're kind of just doing the hands-on experiments, but of course it will be. Nazik, I'm going to come to you with a question that's really quite open-ended, but I'm just hoping you're going to come out with some gem here. So, no pressure. Where do you think, especially in your role, you know, almost now, if you are kind of like the heart of it now, because you're the forefront of change, you're, you know, changing and adapting lots of different areas of the business now. Where can you see all of this going, say, in 10 years' time? And where do you see yourself going in the future with STFC?
Yeah, that is quite a loaded question. So 10 years in the future, it's almost impossible to predict. I think one of the main things that we've seen is the advancements in machine learning. And a lot of effort has been put in at the STFC for developing AI solutions to things that have been done manually in the past. And the main thing, one of the main benefits from that is you can reduce things like bias. So a lot of if you have a machine learning model or something that's trained on several years worth of data, it can be just as good as a senior physicist who has been working on that same data. So what you essentially get is the exact same thing as a senior scientist, but as a model which is completely malleable. You can use it in many different circumstances, and you can get a lot more data a lot more quickly from it. So I think that in the next 10 years, the rate at which science advances will be much more quickly, because scientists in general will be able to test their ideas out in a fraction of the time. I think that'll be the main benefit that we'll see. So it will probably accelerate discoveries and just all aspects of research, really.
Yeah, because when you were saying it, I was thinking, oh gosh, could this be almost a negative on Matthew and Yash in terms of their careers in the future?
Don't need us anymore.
You know, that is what I was thinking. But no, because you're the ones that will be coming up with the idea. It's the AI that's going to give the answer quicker. It doesn't scare you, Matthew, does it?
I didn't until you started talking.
not until you mentioned it, no. No, I don't. No, that's not something I would worry about.
It's always evolving, though, isn't it? You know, like, if you think about technology 10, 15 years ago and look at it now, and you'd never think 10, 15 years ago that technology would be like it is now. So it's just like a constant evolution, isn't it?
And I think as well, like it's always changing and evolving, but it never actually comes in the way you think it's going to.
That's a good point. Sorry, Yash, I interrupted you. Sorry, I've gone. What was you going to say?
Sorry?
Was you going to say something earlier? Did I interrupt you?
No, I was fine.
Sure?
I was just gonna agree with that. I was gonna say, like, as like scientists, the role never really goes away. It just kind of evolves. So in this age, it has come to the point where you're kind of like working hand in hand with technology for progress. And I feel like even though like software has done a lot of automation in the field, there's obviously still aspects like research and creativity that will require a human touch. So I believe that software and scientists should be going hand in hand, not like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of replacement going on.
No.
I always think something I've just thought of when you're saying about kind of simulations and maybe kind of AI that will play a bigger role in performing simulations. It can never replace actual experimentalism. You have to have both of them. It can supplement it, and it means that you can try ideas out in your simulation. Say you're simulating like a big laser system or a particle accelerator, because the real thing is very expensive, and there may only be a few in the world. So if everyone who not everyone who wants to use it can use it. So obviously you can go to your simulation to get these ideas quickly and get these preliminary results, but you can't completely simulate everything and account for everything. You're always going to have to try it for real. But I don't think there's any danger of it kind of replacing experimentalisms.
I think you said it. You said people will come up with these ideas, the AI will make you get to that answer quicker, potentially.
I completely agree with Matthew on what he was saying. As somebody that prefers traditional programming over AI, but still needs to be connected to AI or machine learning in some capacity, I think it's really important to recognize that the AI aspect is just one component. and there's still a lot of components that go around that, which can't be replaced. So it's more about using these tools to benefit us, but it doesn't have the ability to completely replace the other components.
Yeah, it's like a supplement, isn't it? Like at Gradcracker, we've got the web team who build everything, they do everything themselves, but then they use AI to help them as an assistant, as a supplement to what they're doing. And I think it's the combination of both, isn't it, that makes the perfect answer, really.
Yeah, it's a machine, isn't it? You know, going that old, everyone's a cog, aren't they? And,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Not going to move.
But I think
are we staying here then till 4 o'clock?
Yeah. Sorry, Martha.
No, I just wanted to say as well that it's I've been in the organisation for, it'll be almost 4 years actually soon, but I've seen so many changes, and in response to that sort of technology development, we've got a newly opened National Quantum Computing Centre, or the Scientific Computing Department with supercomputers on site that always sort of impress our applicants when they come to assessment centres to site, and they get to see all that amazing stuff happening there. So I think the organisation sort of responding to all these new challenges, and it's pretty obvious as well that they don't want it.
Carla, I'll hand back to you before I take up any more time.
Jess will go off on a tangent. So
No.
what we're going to do now is, I wouldn't mind actually just talking to you all about extracurricular things that you do outside of the day job, just so people have got a full circle of what you get up to. So Narsik, I'm going to start with you. So aside from what you do as a grad, what other things do you get up to?
So in my personal life, I like to do some basketball as a sport. When the weather's a little bit better.
I know,
I also, it's most of the time I just like hang out with my friends. And also I'm learning a language on the side, which is quite fun.
Interesting. What language?
Arabic.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant. And keeping it into STFC again, so is there anything that you do outside of your day job with your team, any sporting activities that you could set up a basketball team there as well?
Yep. So there's quite a lot of socials that go on at the STFC. So we have a cake club, a book club, and there's also a badminton club. I think there are some other little sports that there, but I've not really checked them out. And those occur on a weekly basis. On a monthly basis, there are some socials just for the graduates. So in fact, tonight there's a game night where people are bringing in their consoles, board games, that sort of thing. And we also have a gym on site. So there's plenty of things to do with the other graduates as part of the STFC.
Super, thank you very much. What we're going to do now is move on to you, Marta, if you don't mind. So obviously we've inspired students, graduates to apply to the STFC opportunities, which are currently on Gradcracker. So as mentioned before, they're all listed on your hub. What is the application process? What can students expect?
So once you obviously find a role, or perhaps roles, multiple roles that you're interested in, you can go ahead and start the application process. And obviously Gradcracker is the perfect place to start. Now, please do remember they can only apply for a maximum of 2 roles.
Right.
So that's something sort of worth remembering. Otherwise, you will hear from our colleagues in the pre-screening team asking what roles you wanna actually continue with. So if you were to apply for a graduate program, the process is not as long, I would say, as last year, because we actually managed to remove the SHL testing for majority of our roles, and only a few of them decided to keep that particular stage of the process. So if you were a graduate, you would obviously be asked to submit a CV and cover letter with your application, and then managers would shortlist after closing date. We would then shortlisted candidates would then be moved to video interview stage. After video interviews, there'll be another shortlisting meeting. And those candidates shortlisted after that meeting would be then invited to assessment centre on site. Assessment centres are just a great day really for all of us. We love organising those. They are sort of not as formal as you would probably picture them. They you stay with us. We obviously provide lunch and you just stay with us probably between, I would say, 9 and 3 p.m. the latest. you take part in Q&A session with current graduates, which is great opportunity for you to ask questions and sort of, and discuss the roles with them. There's also HR interview with one of us, so our colleagues from the HR team, as well as a technical interview, as we call them, with the panel. So the hiring manager and the colleagues from the team. Now, if you were an industrial placement student, it would be a very similar process. So CV and cover letter with your application, video interviews, and then you go straight to final stage interviews. So there is no assessment center for our industrial placement students. Some of them actually do not require video interview stages, depending on sort of number of applications that we receive. If you are a summer placement student, that process is sort of even more simple. So you've got CV and cover letter with your application, final stage interview, and hopefully offer after those. So if I could, obviously, also summer placements will open Jan, so you'll see all our summer placements sort of end of Jan, beginning of Feb, and they'll be open until probably end of March. If I could advise everyone not to leave the application till last minute, because some of the roles can close a bit early depending on how popular these are. If I could move on to hints and tips.
I was just going to go there. Yes, you said something earlier on about mentioning like the projects that you've worked on or your interests that you really like to hear about. So tell us anything else, any more hints and tips that you'd like to give.
Definitely. So I would definitely advise you to utilise your uni career services, because they often offer a cover letter and CV writing skills, assessment centre, interview workshops. Always read through job adverts carefully. Make sure you familiarise yourself with the essential criteria, the recruiting team, department, and the sort of overview of the role. Make sure you save the job adverts, because quite often you might apply for, a multiple roles, and when we speak to our applicants, they can't always remember where we're calling from, what role is that for. So always save those job adverts for future reference, so they'll help you prepare yourself for the interviews. And make sure you always submit your CV and cover letter, otherwise you will be chased by us. And incomplete applications, sadly, after the closing date, will have to be obviously they won't be taken into consideration, sadly. So please do remember to submit CV and cover letter. I would definitely advise to make your cover letter role specific. So quite often we notice that you guys produce one cover letter, and these are usually great. However, they don't necessarily address the role that you're applying for, and it's always seen as a positive by hiring teams. So please do mention the role, and perhaps a bit about what you know about that particular role, and maybe projects they're involved in. Use confident language to convey your skills and experience. Don't be afraid to sort of sell yourself in a way where you make yourself stand out from the crowd, because don't forget you're all in a very similar at a very similar stage of your career. So make sure you're not afraid to share your achievements and projects that you've worked on. Spell check and proofread, please. Yes. Very important.
Very important.
Make sure you check your contact details. I would advise against the university email addresses, because don't forget they sort of stop working at some point after you graduate. So I would certainly create an email address for applications, or use your private one, not the university one, just to make sure we can contact you, hopefully with some good news once you apply. Do your research on the organisation, the team, department, if possible. With STFC, we're very transparent, so you can find everything on our website, our Gradcracker hub. So please do your research. You might not know much about the team, but the organisation, and few projects, I'm sure that will be seen as a massive advantage by the panelists. Check deadlines, as I mentioned earlier. I wouldn't wait till last minute, although some of the best applications arrive sort of before midnight on the closing day. But I would certainly apply as early as you can see the role, just in case some of them close earlier. If you need reasonable adjustments, please don't be afraid to ask and speak to us as soon as you apply, so to give us enough time to make these reasonable adjustments for yourself should you need them. Be prepared that you could be asked to complete a 5 to 10 minute presentation. Take your time answering questions, and again, don't be afraid if you need a little pause or a break, or if you need time to perhaps think about the question and then get back to it. And ask questions. So always give you guys, and I know panelists do as well in the technical interviews, time to ask questions, because we are there for you, and you have to remember that this is an opportunity for you to check if the employer is a good fit. So yeah, I would say just talk to us, stay in touch, communicate, and yeah, all the best in your applications.
Perfect. And yeah, good luck everybody when you put your applications together. So don't forget, deadline is the 12th of November, so there isn't much time left. So make sure you go to the STFC hub after this webinar, follow and apply and do your research like Marta just said. But thank you everybody for joining us today. It's been brilliant, really insightful, definitely excited for the applications that Marta and her team are going to get through Gradcracker. Join me and Jess next week, Thursday at 2 o'clock, where we're joined by WSP. But thank you very much, everybody, and we shall see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.